I guess I need to pull up the movie so I can know what the hell going on. You for some reason you not moving. Let me restart my. Let me not restart. Let me refresh.
That's so weird because
I wasn't moving. He cried.
Yeah, a little.
Okay.
I mean, welcome back.
Oh, that was you. I told you I was coming right back. My internet ain't like yours.
Ooh. So many shots being fired today. Do we need to have therapy? Do we need to call in the folks? I'm just concerned. Y'all know it's a
All right. So, yeah, Kayla, you open us up.
Yes,
take us out.
Let me know when.
And I'm going to hit live. And I think I got to...
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Oh, so the Sapphires, they some thieves. Okay, just checking.
First of all, you got your dang mouth.
Sapphires some thieves. They stole their name from Gambling Huff that was in a group with the background vocal of Ashford and Simpson.
First of all, Sapphires. Okay, and then they stole their name from A Rock in the Ground. So you shut your dang mouth.
Well, y'all, happy Sunday. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sips and Scripts. Obviously, we're going to be getting into some things about the Sapphires today.
Blessed, everybody.
Welcome to Sips and Scripts, the podcast where we make a cocktail and talk about one of our favorite films from the past and present. Today, my name is Kayla Rose, and I am an entertainment blogger at inmytheater.com.
And I'm Terrell Bernard, and the smartest one of the bunch.
No, in the hell you're not, pal. I am.
Oh, no. I was okay. I was on your.
I know, my bad.
And I don't know why you waste your time being on his side.
Shot.
I'll be firing strays sometimes. My bad.
Apparently. Strays. But that's
I told you not to waste time being on his side, but you get hit every time.
I see.
My bad.
Okay. It's all right, Terrell. It's all right. We're gonna be forgiven today.
Thank you.
Anywho, turtle doves. I am Kirsten Jackson, cocktail influencer and blogger at lowcountrysocialite.com. Welcome to Sips and Scripts.
Welcome.
And
oh Lord.
Anywho, hey y'all, how y'all doing this Sunday morning? What we talking about today, y'all?
Yeah, what are we talking about today?
Yes, it's my week, and my pick was the Sapphires.
Dun, 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 dun. Have you ever heard of them, guys? Anybody?
You're such a freaking hater. Okay.
Ain't nobody never heard of this movie. Unless you live in Australia.
You can't enjoy it. The movie is super valid.
You're right.
Huh?
It's what?
You can't enjoy it.
You never not watch it objectively and enjoy it. The movie is super valid. It talks about racism, and America is not the only country that experiences racism. So therefore, we have
that confused me.
How?
But this is Black History Month. We should have rocked with something a little more cut and dry black.
Wait, no. Okay, I was going to say that I appreciated the film. No. Jesus. Oh, Lord. We're going to get canceled.
Kayla, I'm sorry about the Kanye you. I'm going to let you finish, but I need to hear what Terrell got to say.
What you mean? What you talking about?
It's Black History Month, so we needed something more cut and dry Black history.
Yeah, they tried to like shoehorn some Martin Luther King, and I was like, "What? What would they even know about Martin Luther King in Australia?" They wouldn't have a clue.
No, but they weren't in Australia when they were watching about Martin Luther King.
It would have just been like me going to Germany, watching something about something I didn't know. And I'm like, okay.
But Martin Luther King's death was a global event, and Vietnam soldiers were like really affected by it because they were American.
Oh, the one who said, "Get your monkey hands off me." That was
Listen, a lot of that was rough. A lot of Vietnam soldiers were black.
Yeah, that's true.
Unfortunately, that still didn't make any sense to me. I was like, why are all these soldiers black?
What? Yeah, that's how they did the Vietnam War, though.
You said, why are all these
the demographics? Yeah, the demographics of war isn't usually like, bring all the black people here. It's usually like, we the whites, we gonna fight. Like, and then they usually go down there and mess up something, and then they leave.
Ooh, Terrell, this real funny.
Terrell, I cannot.
This real funny.
What?
am flabbergasted. No, because usually this is Kayla giving us this commentary, but Kayla is doing better than you today. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll be better.
No, you won't. You don't even look like you're going to be better. Matter of fact, you look like you're progressively getting worse.
I'm just saying this Dream Girls knockoff.
Now we got somebody in the comments say "cut and dry black," laughing at you.
Lord, that is so funny.
I'm just saying.
Black History Month,
but you
in histories.
You are former military, Terrell. I expect better from you.
And I respect it. All I'm saying is, usually there don't be that many of us. So they must have grouped us all together and was like, go.
There were tons of black soldiers in Vietnam. What is wrong with you?
But why though? That's the question. Why though? I'm pretty sure the military is not predominantly black.
Back in those time, it was though. Like after the Revolutionary War, after they forced all the black folks
after the
Revolutionary War to be in war, black people were more widely accepted into the military, and then that's just what they thought. You know, it was easier to probably.
I think you picked the wrong war.
Oh no!
I'm freaking shocked.
The Revolutionary War. Like, I'm not tripping.
I think you picked the wrong war.
The black people. Wasn't the Revolutionary War when we?
No, that's the Civil War. I'm like, what? Like, it was all equal after that Revolutionary War. We got our independence from Britain. They was like, come on, blackies, this whole hand.
No, okay, I'm right. Black people did fight in the Revolutionary War.
Not on purpose. Not on purpose.
They did, but
what I was trying to say was when they made all the black people fight in the Revolutionary War, when wars and stuff came up later in life,
it was like, we need more dark meat. No, they I don't know what's going on today.
So that would have been all the stuff that he said.
Rein us back in.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Anyway, sorry for those who are watching us and watching Terrell lose his mind and Kayla following.
Man,
today we are talking about a movie, The Sapphires. It is a movie in the US, but it was a big hit in Australia because it is an Australian film. The film is 2000, released in 2012. It is a kind of musical comedy drama based on a stage play. What is wrong with y'all?
I'm listening. I have my listening ears on. I'm listening.
Go ahead. so sorry.
Yes, it is loosely based on a real life girl. The creator of the stage plays, named is Tony Briggs. His mom was part of the group, and his mom and his aunt. So the Sapphires is about a 4-girl group that are.
Oh no, not okay. Hold on. Oh, never mind. Go ahead. Go ahead. Dream Girls. Oh, sorry. My bad. Go ahead.
It was dubbed the Australian Dream Girls. About 4 women, Aboriginal descent, Aboriginal Australian women who form a music group, and they travel to Vietnam in 1968 to sing for the troops during the war. The film stars Chris O'Dowd as Dave. You guys may remember him from Bridesmaids. Deborah Mailman as Gail. Jessica Mauboy as what are those singing competitions, like maybe Australia's Got Talent or Australian Idol or something like that?
Okay.
Australian Idol.
Yeah, she won
Australian
one of those.
And she is signed to Sony Music Australia.
Wow.
It was Australian Idol.
That's what's up.
Yeah, she's got an incredible voice. So
that's the younger one? Is that the younger one? Because she's the only one that I think can really sing.
She got the whole group for real.
Everybody else, I was like, y'all trying, but y'all ain't about that life. She can really sing.
I'm not gonna lie.
Her voice is.
I was gonna bring that. She was really the only one who could sing, and that's why they were so jealous of her.
Yeah, like you too young. Like, nah, you too talented. You about to blow this out the water.
Oh my God. Yes. So yes, from Australian Idol, and Shari Sebbens as Kay, the white passing Australian cousin. So the movie had a budget of.
Did you mention Tori Kittles? You mentioned Tori Kittles, right?
Who is that?
Kittles. Now you got to mention Mr. Tori Kittles, who been in all the Equalizer, the TV show with Queen Latifah. He was in Bessie with Queen Latifah. Steel Magnolias with Queen
Latifah. Okay, so this is a friend of Queen Latifah.
Because Queen Latifah.
Most personal friend of Queen Latifah was in the movie. Got it.
It wasn't me, so I ain't worried
He was in
about
Get Rich or Die Trying. Y'all just gotta go look and see who he is, because he is a popular-ish actor.
Okay. What's his name again?
Tori
Kittles? Oh, Corey Kittles. Oh, Tori. Okay.
He was Robbie, the black guy who was in love with white girl.
She wasn't white. She was
not white.
Passing?
The white passing girl, the one who they stole and said, "You are a white woman."
That was now. That's one part. We don't get into it, but that was the most interesting part about that movie was that.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Okay,
but before we do that,
yes,
what we sipping on?
Well, I'm not done.
Oh, we thought you was finished. Well, we done. What's we drinking on?
Poke Kirsten, we are just ruining
the
her
movie
day.
had a budget of $8 million. And
it made $8 million. I feel you. They made their money back.
No, it's $20 million. Like I said, it had positive reviews at the Cannes Film. And it was seen as like the straight version of Dream. That's pretty good. And it had a tomato score of.
I did see that. I was impressed.
Impressive.
So, all the 10 people who saw and liked the movie, thank you. Y'all really kept that score up there. That was great.
So, yes, let's have a cocktail.
Please.
All right.
Okay, now, so let's have a cocktail. So,
Yeah.
the cocktail I chose for today is actually Mexican cocktail, but it's very popular in Australia. So we are going to make a Paloma.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
nice.
problematic.
You guys
I'm
ever
so
heard?
problematic. I'm so problematic. Because y'all know this whole time they were like Australian black folks. And I was like, these not Hispanic folks. Like the whole movie.
You thought they was Hispanic the whole time? I was like,
No, not the whole time. But at the beginning, I was like, they're giving more Spanish than they are giving biracial black folks to me personally until they start talking.
yeah. And then when they said they're not stopping for you because we're black, I was like, huh? I was confused, but I was like, what?
Okay. I'm just saying. I'm just
Go ahead, man. What are we drinking for real? What are we drinking? All right, man, for real. I'm being okay. This is my straight face.
I'm ready.
Okay, so we're gonna make a Paloma, and we are going to start with a glass of ice. What is wrong with y'all today? What is wrong with y'all today?
I don't know.
It's a great film.
Yeah. Oh, they got.
You know, I feel like y'all done smoked before y'all got on here.
No, I did not.
I'm sorry, I don't do drugs. I don't know.
No, I don't deal with drugs at all. So you get you a nice tall glass, fill it with ice cubes and a black straw. There we go.
Yes, this is a Tom Collins glass, and we're gonna start with that first. Today we're using 818 tequila. This is Kendall Jenner's tequila.
Who?
Kendall Jenner.
The Kardashians.
Oh.
One of the
Was she brewing herself or something? That's why it's so tiny?
No, she owns this this brand of tequila, and people rag on it so bad. I've never tasted it, but I mean, it's pretty popular tequila because I mean it's Kendall Jenner, but this is my first time using it. I was sent a sample.
Okay.
So
let's see what the hype is all about. See if Kendall got it.
Start with about 2 ounces of tequila and a little splash of grapefruit juice, pink grapefruit juice.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a splash.
Oh.
And then top off the rest with some grapefruit soda. Very easy. This is super simple Paloma. So, and garnish with a couple of lime wedges.
All right.
My dehydrated limes. And here we are. Our Paloma.
That looks pretty good. Like that might be tasty. How is it?
Pretty good. I like grapefruit. So
A lot of old people do. That's usually their go-to.
Well, that's fair. All right, kids. So I'm not even going to bother asking you two twits what your history with the film is because I know that you both have never seen it before.
No.
Along with probably everyone else who's watching this.
Well,
if you have seen this movie, please let us know.
Please. And let us know if you know who Tori Kittles is.
Okay. Well, but yeah, so let's get into it. Well, because it's one, I just it's seen it, but I don't watch weird films that I don't know what the hell or the subject line. But one night I was just like, going through and just started watching. I was like, oh, I like this. And, it's like some history that we don't always know about, like, racism
True.
in other countries. So,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very interesting.
I did think that was interesting.
Honestly, I had never really thought about how, a lot of times when we talk about Black history, we talk about slavery and like how it affected Black people. It's usually like Black Americans and African folks, but never really think about how it affected people like Black people around the world, Black people in Mexico, Black people in Australia, Black people in Germany. Like you don't never think. I don't think we focus on anyone else outside of
ourselves.
So it was a good opportunity to do that, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, I do. I give you kudos for that, because when it started off, I was like, and then when they really got into that backstory of like how they were taking the passing children, it was like they're here for the children. I was like, what is going on? Who shows up and snatches up children like that?
Right. That was very
insane.
Wow.
I can't wait till we talk about that because I was like,
So yeah, it was a good thing.
But like
and they just showed up
because remember we are just kind of like ethnocentric. We kind of think about things in our own country. But do you guys remember like the new talk those bodies that were? Did y'all hear about that?
Well, I might have in passing, but maybe because I don't watch the news like that. If it ain't Philly D, I don't usually rock with it.
Yeah, it was like they dug these bodies, like because a lot of like indigenous kids went missing to some school. They like a couple of it was like last year sometime.
Oh wow!
Set up, so I'm gonna make sure I'm telling it right. It was in Canada.
I think I did hear about that. They didn't talk. They talked about that for like half a second. It wasn't even nothing they dwelled on at all.
It was like it was called Kamloops Indian Residential School. They found 215 unmarked graves of former students of the school. Like these children, like they were taken from their families and then they were just killed and buried.
Wow!
At this school site.
And the guy that they were going to get some education. That is crazy.
So it's like, and I think like we all have like in our minds what people look like from different countries. And that's for a reason. Like people put their front facing, they choose who represents this country. Like when you think about Australia, you think about very pale white people with red hair. But there are in Australia, the face of that country. Mexico, we think Black Mexicans. So it's just
who were here before Europeans got here. Just to add that to that, said that we're here before Europeans ever stepped foot in the Americas. Just saying.
if we need to make it clear what was point.
True. Too true. But but let's get into the movie. And usually what's interesting is I don't really watch a lot of war movies. Like I think probably the only other war movie I've ever seen that I enjoy is Forrest Gump. And that was only a little bit of a war movie.
Okay.
Fun fact. I always come with the fun fact. I've never seen Forrest Gump. I do know the infamous line. Hey,
Give it to us, Kayla.
Hold on. Run, Forrest, run! I love Jenny and box of chocolate, something. Got Jenny a box of chocolate. Something like that. But run, Forrest, run! I got that part down. No? Okay.
God, heaven right now. I just wonder what to do with you. Okay.
Oh boy.
I don't even have the words for you.
But I am gonna watch because we have this good. We're gonna watch the Titanic. I'm gonna watch both of them. I'm gonna watch the Titanic and I'm gonna watch Forrest Gump. Okay, hold me through it.
Yeah, you are well overdue for
Forrest Gump more than you will enjoy the Titanic. Mm-hmm. Just a fact. Forrest Gump.
I think she'll enjoy Titanic more.
You think so?
I think
I asked my
I think.
But we'll see.
We'll see.
Kayla, you watch them both and let us know.
I'm gonna do it.
Because it was an interesting take on the war, like from a different vantage point. Because most war movies are about the soldiers, but we know that there were tons of like musical acts and groups that went over there. Because we have footage of like Marilyn Monroe over there singing for the troops, and lots of different acts going over there to entertain the troops, because they were really over there fighting a war that we were not going to win. So they were appeasing the troops a lot. And trying to keep
their
spirits
up. And I think that's
up.
so crazy, y'all. I think that's so crazy because when you think about it, they were sending women over there to entertain these men, to keep them motivated to stay over there. And I was like, if you think about it, it sounds so kind of crazy that you're like, oh, the way to motivate these men is send them some pee. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. That's what y'all thinking about right now. In the midst of this war, in the midst of murder and violence, send the women.
Well, yeah. I mean, they were trying to keep these troops motivated because they were fighting this war that we were never going to win, because it was a total war. They were willing to they in the war and
oh, nothing. I was gonna say, it's a debate on who they say won the Vietnam War.
Well, we lost, so whoever was debating that.
There are people who debate that the United States actually did not lose the Vietnam War, and I know that sounds crazy, and we are not going to get political, but yeah, there are folks who believe that nope, United States won that war. Don't know what you're talking about. It's very interesting.
I mean, I guess if you quit, I guess you could take that as a win. Like, oh, we out of here, we won. Like, yeah, just like Afghanistan, we won that one too.
Yeah, there are people who really think.
I mean,
that
and I've like heard some like shady shit. Heard that like in America motivated American soul was counts of like how many in the war they would count, but then the other side would count body parts to try and make the number high. Yeah,
I believe it. But on to the singing, because we hear about singing. These Aborigines was getting it in with the Motown.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all.
Right?
I was like, this movie racist. Let's start there. Because when that white man said, just because I look white doesn't mean my soul ain't Negro, I was like, what?
Well, I mean, that was
wanted it so bad.
He went there. But it was the 60s. It was the 60s, and Negro was a word. So
I was cracking up because
this is
my guy said,
music stuff, even though that actually sounded good. I was like,
oh, I was so glad when they switched over. I was like, I hope this ain't gonna be a bunch of country western, because I can't stand no country western. Ooh, I can't stand it.
I ain't gonna say I can't stand country western, but I will say country song they were singing, and also they sounded terrible until they up there. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't think they sounded terrible, but Julie. Yeah, I don't think they sounded terrible. I think they were boring, but when Julie got up there, yeah, she was definitely the heart of the. I thought they were gonna make it without her, but they just really. I was wondering how old was she, because I guess she must
they
have
never
been
said how old
6.
she was.
Yeah,
but she had that baby. That baby was 2 or 3 years old.
I mean,
yeah, it was like a big baby.
I know they kept wrapped up in the blanket the whole time. I'm like, is there even a baby in this blanket? Baby was just wrapped up.
Because we'd shown it. But no,
that baby had to have been 2.
I been young because they was really like, no, she can't.
Yeah, y'all trying to make some
everything that y'all could be worried about.
I know, right? Like, what's she gonna get Mo pregnant?
Yeah, might as well just go ahead and look like it.
What was?
Who?
Dave.
Dave.
Told Gail off.
Okay. And got all the way
together.
I was like, was she that bad? I didn't think she was that.
She was that bad. And I think the only reason she thought that she was that was because she's the oldest. And usually people who are the oldest really think highly of themselves. And they think that, like, the baby can't do nothing. He's just a baby.
She was not giving what the other girls had. The other sister, what was their middle sister name? I was like, girl, you eccentric. Not that you could sing.
Oh, the one that was wilding out. They was like, sit your wild ass down. That was funny when they were performing.
But also what's very interesting is that they didn't know what soul music was. And
yeah, I was surprised.
And that was so interesting to me. Kind of goes back to my point. Well, kind of goes back to Terrell's point about like them and Martin Luther King. Like they didn't, about that stuff. It seemed like I'm not quite sure what it looked like in real life, but they didn't seem to really. Odd for them to not know what soul music was. The whole thing about Dr. Martin Luther King on the television,
and it moved them.
Right. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because what I'm looking at now, I'm looking up on Google. Was Martin Luther King's death a global event? And I
don't think it was.
That it was. It was one of the earth-shaking events of 1968. But I think that because of this war going on,
there are other people in other countries who reverend Dr. King. But I don't think we are. You don't never really think about other countries when it comes because it's so America focused. Like Dr. He's an American minister. He was this. Like you never really think about impacted everyone outside of America. So I mean, I could see that. I see that. I just thought it was interesting in this particular film because you knew who Dr. Martin Luther King was. soul music was. That's like a giant disconnect to me.
Yeah, and like all they knew was country western music. Like,
right.
Eh.
But maybe
But
I mean, if you think about it some more, maybe Dr. King and like it didn't show country western music, in Australia. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's because we really don't know what was going on in Australia during that time. Like, we know what was going on in America during that time because they showed clips from Muhammad Ali and things he had to say because he was against the war and refused to fight in the war. And so, I mean, from an American perspective, I guess that could have been the case where, like, they grew up without Motown, but grew up on country western because that was the most popular music at the time. And then Motown was just making its interest into the mainstream, so it probably wasn't as popular over there as it was here. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that could have been the catalyst of why they were late to Motown and knew about everything else that was going on.
Yeah. My is perhaps Martin Luther King assassination was like, but I think that it affected the girls because were alongside like American soldiers. So the soldiers, like, you remember the scene where he was like, these soldiers are hurting, they're over here fighting this war and they're dying, but their brothers and sisters are back home dying. So I feel like maybe because there's a scene, right, like when the assassination happens and their family is back home watching it on the news. Like, they had the TV in the yard, which was weird. They had the TV in the yard and they were watching the Kennedys address delivering the news of the assassination. And I think maybe like they were more in tune to the news now because they had those girls over there in Vietnam. And so they were like more in tune to, let's watch the news and make sure everything is okay over there.
I can see that.
So they probably, weren't very aware of all of the unrest that was going on in America leading up to the assassination, but it probably became, part of their like focus once they had family over there or family that was with American soldiers.
Associated with America now a little bit more.
Right.
That makes sense.
So, but as far as them not knowing Motown stuff, I guess they kind of grew up like, because they were in a very like rural part of the country. So they probably grew up listening to what their dad listened to and their granddads listened. And we got to think about like how the exchange of like information was not as quick as it is now. So they're probably out there on the countryside listening to country music. And, that's what those are probably the songs that their dad sang to them, and they grew up learning. Because remember, they were like, she was like, you know what I want to hear when she got them on the phone. They started singing those little Aboriginal lullaby or whatever that was. So,
it could, I mean, if you think about it that way, then yes, maybe like you said, the of getting new things from America and things like that, right? Like they might not get cassette tapes of Motown.
That's what I say, cassette tape. You mean records?
I wasn't gonna say it, but I understand your sentiment. I do.
Anywho, I can see that being a thing. But then I also am like, well, how'd the white guy know?
Well, he was a musician, and
he was like real deep into Motown. I'm like,
yeah, he was like I told y'all that man said he He was a Negro. Okay. He said, I got Negro in me.
And I think that he was from
Like, please.
he was from the city. Like I don't know if I'm gonna start talking crazy because I don't know Australian landscape like that. But
Me neither. But yeah,
he
I guess.
was because
Was he
remember he
from
was
Melbourne?
like, yeah, he
He
was
from-
like, I'm from Melbourne, and I think
Yeah.
that they were in I guess a country western town because remember when everybody was up there singing on the stage terribly, they were all singing country. Like the girl who won the rigged.
Nanella,
It was
I was like, no,
Come on now. Yeah. I was like, why did we
The
even
little
come
boy
up here?
should have won. If we was gonna pick somebody else other than the sisters, the little boy should have won because he was doing better than she was. He gave that little $10 to that baby.
yeah, that because and they were the best act, but it
Racism.
I come to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And he walked up out of there.
That's so funny.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, that
No,
really
but what I
racist country town.
I just know at the end, that man at the end, I was like,
Yeah, I was like, let him die. I was like,
was he just
don't put the pressure on it. Let him put his own pressure on it.
guy too? Like, I couldn't tell if he was talking about just the lady, or if he was talking about the guy. Dang, the names be slipping me. Was he talking about both of them touching him? Or was
I think he was talking about Robbie.
Yeah, I think he wanted Kay to do it because Kay was passing, even though she knew nothing about what to do. But
yeah,
then
I didn't. That part right there was funny to me. It was funny. It was funny because I was just like, but I couldn't tell if he was talking about just like Robbie don't touch him, or if he was saying Kay don't touch him, or both of y'all.
He was talking about Robbie because he said he was like, get your nigger hands off of me or something like that. And then he said, then he looked at her and said, keep that black dog away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes more sense because I was just like, my whole time my eyes was like this because I was just like, not you finna die being racist.
That's what I was like. I was like, that's a terrible way to die.
But you know, got it, cool,
right? But I thought it was an interesting and necessary scene because it jolted us back into the reality that people were still racist, even though we're over here fighting a war together.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are still racist. And it was just one of the harsh realities of that war. Like, it was broken, and instead of like focusing on that, we went and fought a war.
Yep.
Where so many died. But
that is just kind of like the history of America, though. that's what that's what they decide to do.
Yeah.
So,
we've always things here.
Yeah.
You know, because against like space travel, you know, I think like some space exploration, like the way we split billions of dollars into space exploration, and we still have children that are hungry here and teach. Okay.
I definitely I it's so interesting that we're having this conversation because one thing I also think about is like us. I don't know if you guys' parents were in the military. I know we all grew up around military towns though, but like as military kids, it's so interesting when we talk about war and we talk about things like that because like people are like, for your country, we would do this and X, Y, and Z. But like having been around like military people all of your life and like having to know a lot more about war than you probably anyone else ever really does, you really get into how fucked up this shit really is. Like it's quite interesting. It's very interesting. So yeah. it was very interesting that he was going out. He was going out on his races. And I will say, I used to work as a CNA when I was in college. And very briefly, Lord, thank you, Jesus, very briefly, there was this one guy who we would go in and go see, and he would call us N-words all the time. And we were just like, you were on your deathbed. You can't move or do anything by yourself. And yet you decide that the people who are coming in here, because of their skin tone, you do not want them to touch you, look at you, feed you. You would just rather not do it or have someone white do it. And I think that is kind of insane.
Uh,
Personally.
yeah, it's so interesting how some people really handle death. Like some people get really mean and nasty on their deathbed,
Yeah.
and you would think that that would be a time for you to like, absolve yourself and make peace, but some
Yeah.
people just get really mean and nasty on their deathbed. So
But that was a yeah, that was a very shocking moment of that movie where I was just like, wow, that is crazy. But the most, like I think Terrell was saying, most interesting and most shocking part of this whole movie to me was them explaining how Kay and their family got torn apart by military folk. Well, it wasn't military, it was government folks
Mm-hmm.
coming down, taking children who could pass as white. Just no, like there was no
Insane.
like what was the rhyme and reason? I didn't understand. Oh, well, I think they tried to say we'd have less black looking people if we take all the white looking people and filtrate them into white society and have them marry white men. Like it was insane
Yeah,
what they
their
were
their
trying
whole
to say.
logic was
Like,
crazy. I was like,
whoa.
what?
but I guess I'm very guilty of trying to apply logic where there is none,
Yeah.
because that makes no sense. And my thing was, okay, so if you really hate Aboriginal people like you do, white passing ones out and have them like integrate into your white society, because anybody knows that like with our history with slavery,
Mm-hmm.
um a white passing person can pop out a very negro looking child. So
Yeah, like real
Yep.
bad. Like
and that
Yep.
was like one of their greatest fears, like getting pregnant. Oh, this baby might come out looking like my grandfather. So that just didn't make no sense. And I was like, but there was just no logic. When I think about racism and like some of the like most more racist things that I have seen or experienced, like they just don't make sense. Like, but that, like I said, that is me trying to apply logic where there is no logic.
I was racking my brain like, okay, so do they think that because she looked white, she must not be as black as the rest of the folks, and so if they got married, then the it would just lighten them up, and not because she not black, it's just because she looked white. Like no, I was trying to rack my brain, like where they thought process had been coming from was that because she looked white, she must not be that black, and I'm like, no, that's not what was happening at all. And I would love to talk to someone who lived during this time to kind of get a
Yep.
little bit more
Mm-hmm.
background knowledge on what that really looked like back at that time. Sorry. Because I really want to know what happened
Well,
to
from
these people who got taken and then they had children. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I really want to know what happened.
Well, I'm looking at this thing now, and because in the movie they mentioned that that whole phenomenon of them taking these kids, and the kids were called the stolen generation.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at this thing, this website on the stolen generation, and it's between 1910 and the 1970s. Many First Nations children were forcibly removed from their families as a result of various government policies. Um, So they were trying to, it was based on assimilation policies where they claimed that the lives of First Nations people would be improved if they became part of white society. Um, and I think that the assimilation policies, um, were started so that Aboriginal people could die out through a process of natural elimination.
Wow.
Let's see. They were assimilating children that they considered more adaptable to white society than adults. They could be assimilated more easily into the white community due to their lighter skin color. The children taken from parents were denied access to their families and their communities and their cultures, and they were taught to reject their First Nation heritage in favor of white culture. So I guess that's why we like had the scene where the girl came back and was like, if you guys work when you fish, then y'all be rich. I was like, they just really taught her to just hate.
What's so funny is I'm looking at these pictures of these children from back in the time. Interesting.
That's interesting.
Like, I don't know how else to say it, but them children look like Black children, most of them. So, yeah, they probably had to do a lot of conditioning, and I yeah. That is so sad to know and hear and think that they just stole a bunch of children and was like, try to be white because it'll better your life. And
yeah, I'm looking at this Wikipedia page. It's like the successive breeding out of color in the Aboriginal population.
And what's so crazy, even if you breed out the color, they are still
what they are.
Like
still Black.
Lighter. They're just lighter children. Like, doesn't make any sense. But okay.
Yeah. This is, and I feel like when, after this episode, I'm probably going to go back and read this because it was interesting. Like, we definitely have a history of racism in our country, but it's definitely, we're not an anomaly. Like, it's definitely present in other countries.
And what I'm looking at right now, which is also really wild, is like the people that they're showing as Aboriginal Australians on like Google right now are not who we saw in the movie. To me, these look like Black women that I'm looking at right here. These look like Black women. The people we saw in the movie, to me, all those girls could have passed as white passing if we're comparing them to what was real.
I also think that, and I'm really speaking out of ignorance because I don't really know a lot about this, but I think definitely in the movie, a little bit more real, choosing more people who they think look better on film.
Yeah.
So
okay,
that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Because I'm looking at I just did a Google search too of like Aboriginal people, and they
and they don't look
Black
like them
people
who was on this movie at all.
Yeah, I think that's what confused me when I looked it up last night after I was watching the film. I was like, well, let me see, what did Aboriginal people look like, or what do they look like, or are there any pictures of them? And I looked at them, I was like, these people look Black. Like, they don't look like these people look like they could have been Mexican or Euro Asian, or it didn't come across as these are Black people. Because that's why I'm like, when it was like, they didn't stop for us because we were Black. He's like, no, because you're ugly. Like, it's like,
it made it weird for somebody who is not Australian to be watching this film and be like, okay, maybe they Black over there, but over here they wouldn't be Black. Like how we consider Black people to be.
I just found something, and apparently Aboriginal people, Aboriginal Australians who kind of look like the women who were in the movie, often get mistaken as Mexican. So there's an Aboriginal comedian on TikTok who said she had to clarify her race on TikTok and saying, no, I am not Mexican. I am a Black Australian. So that's interesting. Definitely going to go back. Oh, now I'm all invested in Australian Aboriginalism.
Down the rabbit hole.
I am going down the rabbit hole. But yeah, even in it's so crazy to me because even in some of the people who are a little bit lighter, they still don't look like who we saw on the movie. But and I say that very loosely because I believe that the actresses were and are
Yeah,
Aboriginal,
they are.
but
Yeah.
the majority, from what I am seeing, do not look like them.
Like, yeah, they were all very looking
Hmm.
Aboriginal people, and it's like, okay, well, but you know, but that happens all the time. Like when we get movies on people who are like black and black Americans, they
Hmm.
choose like
Lighter skinned and
Yeah.
mhm.
all that good stuff. So,
So, but so I just thought it was just interesting to see how racism and all of the uh, outliers in
hmm.
other countries because it's definitely, you know, because in the 80s, like that the whole like apartheid in South
Yes.
Hmm.
Africa was like really popular, and that was like some of the first time that American people were seeing racism in other countries and being like,
Hmm.
oh, we're not the only ones that experienced this.
I
So
think
Mm-hmm.
the person who even got me down, like thinking about racism in other countries, was Trevor Noah. When Trevor Noah came out and talked about his time in like Africa and his mother and stuff like that, it was probably like the first time I had ever, even considered other folks and their, how being black affected people around the world because we're pretty self-centered in America. It is
mhm,
about us, and if it's not about us, we don't really care a lot. And I'm not gonna say that's
Mm-hmm.
about everyone, but that is like the majority of the thinking. But I do think that, going beyond, like when we think about Black History Month, going beyond just thinking about Black Americans is important.
agreed. And I'm kind of on the fence. I hear a lot of people use this argument like, oh, Black Americans don't need to be complaining because look how it is in other countries. And I'm like, that argument really irks the shit out of me.
Yeah, because even when you say look at it in other countries, yes, look at it in other countries. It is happening to all of us around the world. Like, and it's
Hmm.
an issue. And where do y'all think this issue came from?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it is a crazy argument to have. And if we go even further, and again, yeah, I'll be getting canceled every weekend. Fine. But if you think about it, America is like one of the, major influences around the world. So when you look at how America treats Black people, you follow suit and think that's how Black people should be treated in your country. And that's how they treat them.
Yeah.
So yeah, have argument. It's Black all around.
Well, I think that did we hit everything? I think like this was definitely a learning experience
Mhm.
for oh, it was for myself. I mean, because before I watched it, I knew of Aboriginal people, but I did not. And of course, this movie didn't teach me everything. I mean, it's a movie,
Right.
but it did encourage me to like look up things that I didn't know. And I'm pretty sure there's like tons of things. I know there's tons of things that I still have yet to learn.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but let's move into this. Or did anyone have any final thoughts about the Sapphires?
Nope.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, let's move into. Were you about to say something, Terrell?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh wow.
What?
I'm like again, obviously invested. There are like they are still fighting their fight in Australia. Australia rebans alcohol in some Aboriginal communities. They don't have a voice in parliament. That is, yeah,
Oh
that's
wow.
Yeah, that was I was looking at as well because at the end of the film they show like what all of the women came back to do, because none of them really pursued like a career in singing. Even though like Julie was kind of positioned to become a star, she still came back and worked on like Aboriginal rights. Didn't really do music much anymore. So, but yeah, definitely fights still going on. I mean,
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. Your best worst weirdest?
Sure. Best part of this film would be that it was shot well. They definitely gave some points that you could take and do your own research on and find out more about the history of that group of people, and their plights and their struggles. And I think it was I like that they gave us a little bit of awareness. So yeah, that was probably the best part of the film. Worst part of the film, they made it seem like Vietnam War was one big spring break for black people. I was like, what is going on? This is supposed to be a war, and y'all like, we got the black dude like, yeah, I'm about to put this thing together. You know what I'm saying? We gonna go up here, we gonna go down here, and we gonna show them how to do. You know, you gotta shake something. I was like, what is going? Is this war or no? I was like, what is going on?
But that's what I always felt like the Vietnam War. Like, okay, yeah, and like sniped or whatever. But you hear, when you hear about Vietnam, you hear about all of the black soldiers that went over there and made Vietnamese babies, and like the troops going over there, and like people performing for the troops. Like, they tried to make this big spring break for the soldiers to disguise the fact that it was a bullshit war.
I guess I was like, that really shocked me, because I mean, I really don't do much study. I mean, the wars you usually hear about, World War I, World War II, they usually don't talk about the Vietnam War like that, because again, it was a losing war. And then they talk about the wars from the 90s and then the current wars and stuff like that. But I really haven't delved into the Vietnam War to see what was really going on and why we were in that war. So I guess if I do my own research, I'll find out more about it. But it just seemed like they was like, come on over here, black people, have a good time. And we might shoot a little bit, we might not. We gonna have a party though. Where the pool at? I was like, a pool? What
like when you watch like movies have like any part of the Vietnam War in it, it's always the soldiers are like dancing and barbecuing and like going into the city to see the girls, and it's like, dude, this is a lot. But I mean, they'll show where they're like in the trenches and it's like raining on them and stuff like that. But the way Vietnam,
really? Are you just recalling Forrest Gump?
Yes.
We went into the Vietnam War because they didn't want communism to continue spreading in Asia.
Yeah.
That is the reason. But like, think about that even further.
Mm-hmm.
Why communism to spend in Asia? Is it because you want Asia eventually one day and
it was trade
and do pretty much. That's why the US decided to also go in on the Vietnam War. So yeah, I mean, more of we are trying to control your land and what you guys do, and if you continue spreading communism, then it's not going to be beneficial for us. So we're going to go over
shut it down.
Yep.
And the weird part of this film was that I don't know, it seems like lately, and I guess I've just been noticing it more, they're really trying to force this relationship between whatever that guy's name was and the oldest sister.
Oh, Dave.
And I was like, why? This is unnecessary. This brings nothing nor takes away anything from the film.
Well,
Even when he got shot, I was like, "Oh, he dead," and then I just kept on living my life. And then he showed up again. I was like, "Oh, he not dead."
I think it was like understory of the. It was like the old was the one who took care of everyone, so she didn't really take care of herself. She never loved da 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 da. But this man comes and meets her match. And now she has a love life. Like, I think that's what they were trying to do. This underlying story, like
they could have left that. They could have kept that. I ain't need none of that.
It wasn't developed enough because there were more scenes of the middle sister Cynthia, around screwing whatever that guy's name was, and I was like, they could have less scenes of that and more scenes with this developing budding romance, because it was like they slow dance and then he proposed. It was like,
after they was, I don't know, they was at each other's neck the whole entire movie. I was like we're gonna make a decision on who's gonna do whatever, and then she was like, I've made the decision. The decision is this, and then it was like, I guess. Like, okay, what? So they could have kept all that.
It was very I guess I could tie this into my business.
Go ahead. What you got?
Oh, my best is that it just opened up because I'm about to go down a large rabbit hole of Australians and the stolen generation. So I thought it was a very good opportunity for us to learn more about how being Black affects folks outside of America. Wonderful movie. My word, I think, would be, now that I know what Aboriginal Australians look like in, I'm like, all right, y'all could have done a little bit better in that aspect. My weird is, again, would have to also be the relationship with Dave and the head sister, because it was very interesting to me that the whole sign thing where he was like the lead singer, the pretty one, or the sexy one, or whatever. Then I can't remember what he, and then just put a question mark on her, and I was just like, and then how did we go from that to I am married and I'm also still married, and I'm like, and I'm dead, and no, but I'm alive, and like, it was a lot in that. It was a lot. Not gonna lie. Even finding him alive seemed like a very fetchy story, because like, who was tied to these women?
Yeah, he was just somebody out there when they got the shooting.
Right. How did they know to call him and figure out that he, like, all of that right now? Was she on an emergency contact list in his pocket?
What? He was the only one out there with a suit now.
His wife wasn't an emergency contact. It was them. Something happened to me. Call the phone girl. Don't call my wife.
Yeah, it was a plot hole.
Yeah.
That
very dramatic scene, though.
Her reading that letter.
Well, I thought that the ambush.
Why did he? Well, real quick question: why did he not get on the helicopter? Because when they all showed up, they was all sitting there like, "Woo, we good to go. Everybody all right? Oh, not Dave. My bad." I was like, "Woo, where was he going?"
Because he got on one chopper, and then the other two got on the medic chopper, and he didn't know where the other two were. So he was like, "Where are such and such? I'm going to go back and get them." But yeah.
This goes back to our conversation from last week, where I'm leaving you niggas. Because look at him. Look at Dave that got shot up in Vietnam.
If you want a vacation in a war country, don't go with Kayla, okay? Because she will leave you behind.
You're going to be out of there.
No, oh God. I can't help you if I can't help himself, and
that
could not
was
help
that was his act of love. Him going to go look for her sisters.
himself.
Whatever.
Anyway, is it time for my best worst weirdest?
It is.
Yes.
Okay, the best. I would say, okay, just to like choose a different best from you guys, would be discovering who discovering who Jessica Mauboy was, because her voice is incredible.
Oh yeah, that's
She's a really great singer.
I would.
Yeah, she's and I would also say like another best. I'm just gonna have to disagree with you. It's like it was interesting to learn about you know, different cultures in their own respective countries. So just on that, because racism is a global thing, more than people realize. I would say the worst of this movie would be
You gotta think that hard.
I'm listen. I know that this was not a pick that you guys, but I'm very protective of this movie, and I think the reason why is because I watched it years ago, and it was like one of the first times like of me seeing a different perspective on racism in another country. So I'm like very protective of it because it taught me something.
I think this helped me like this movie a little bit better. It's not for the fact of, you know, opening our eyes to, you know, the plight of Aboriginal Australians. If not for anything, that having that conversation to me like kind of helped me like this movie a little bit more.
Yeah. If you like, I know me personally, before watching this movie, I knew that there were Aboriginal Australians, but if you would have asked me like what the typical Australian looks like, or you know, I think Nicole Kidman, like, and people look like her, and that's all I would have thought about. And it's not fair, because if you think about it, if somebody were to ask somebody in another country, oh, what's a typical American look like, and you say like Reese with, but there's so many America how we look. So I just try to think about it that way. And I don't know. Let's see. So the I'm trying to choose something that's just like that's actually like a worst part of the production of the movie, and not like the worst scene. Because like the worst thing I'm thinking about is like that whole stolen generation thing. Like that shit was awful.
Yeah.
Like
that's terrible.
How do you go and snatch up somebody's child and be like, I know what's best for your child? Like
terrible. It didn't have thinking behind it.
Right. It's just crazy. So it's like, as far as like technically, like with the film, the worst would be probably this forced romance between Dave and the older sister. It was like really not as fleshed out as it should have been, because we got no real fallout from him admitting that he was married. She was just basically like, are you serious? And
like, do I, if something don't kill you, I'm going to. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, and it was like, okay. And yeah.
It was very interesting.
Made it look like Aboriginal women don't expect much from their partners or their male partners.
Mm-hmm.
So worse because we had the middle sister Sin who was like back and forth with this guy he had left. He proposed to her in this like weird way. He left her at the altar. Then he's like, when she leaves and is famous, and then he wants to be back with her. And I think at the end they do get back together. So then we have Gail, the oldest sister, who was like, she doesn't have much to say about Dave being married. This proposal when they hadn't even so much as kissed. And it was just like, it kind of painted this picture of like Aboriginal women low standards when it comes to male partners. And I was like, I don't like
it. Seemed like during that part with Sin and the guy, I forgot his name, Robbie. Was it Robbie? I don't know. Whatever his name was. It seemed like during that part, he was just basically asking a question like, would you like to get married? Not let's stop everything right now. While we in the middle of this, they go outside and scream it to the hilt. We about to get
right. But then he went through with the marriage and then left her at the altar though. And it was like,
because what do you do after? I mean, that was embarrassing. She went out there and told everybody while we was mid having sex that we was gonna get married, and how I'm supposed to take that back? Like, how am I supposed to embarrass her and say that's not what happened? Because I think he ultimately he should have said something beforehand, but I think he was trying to save her from embarrassment.
Yeah, maybe so. But then he gave her the ultimate embarrassment, and it was like,
dude, leaving her at the altar is kind of like terrible.
So, but that would be my worst as far as like that. But then the weirdest would have been just me as a Black American that looks Black with kinky hair. It was very weird to watch what they chose as their Aboriginal women for the film with like hair, and they were just lighter skinned. It was weird watching them call themselves Black, even though they are, okay, but it was just strange.
Yeah, so it was strange when you realize what they really look like, what most of them really look like. Strange.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about homegirl passing, and I'm like, but y'all not too from her to be, to be saying that, she's different than you. She looked like y'all skin, like this much lighter than y'all skin complexion for y'all to be like telling us that she's the one who could pass. All of you.
And then, and I'm also probably going to dig around, but we should have done before this episode, but like real sapphires, like they have a passing. So I'm like, I don't know.
When they showed their pictures at the end of the movie, I was like, this is who they chose. Okay, got it. Yeah, no, I'm looking at a as they are right now, and I'm like,
so the Wikipedia page,
Aboriginal women is on when you Google Aboriginal women. They don't look like them. They just don't, and that's just is what it is.
Right. So I don't know, and maybe they were just from a village or community where there was already a lot of race mixings, and maybe that's what made it easier for the government to swoop up their kids.
Excuse me.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know, but
the story was that way. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess the story is the story, and the story, if this was what that's what they look like. So they found actors who look like them. So, and the son was the one who was a part of the one of the producers of this movie. So they produced the movie as it pertains to them, and they chose actresses who looked like his parents. So he was telling their point of view and their story. I think we have to take it out and say, he wasn't telling the story of Aboriginals. He was telling his personal family stories, and maybe that's the lens we need to look at this from.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's my weirdest. Let's open up happy hour. It's happy hour.
My last thing though is I am gonna say the son looked black.
I didn't see him.
Tony Briggs, yeah, no, and that's again where you go, oh, okay, yeah, y'all take them white women and them white passing ones and say they ain't gonna have no black looking children. All right,
Oh yeah, he super duper looked black. Yeah, he looked like an actor here, but I can't think of who it is.
Mm-hmm. I'm having a drink with I think Gail. Gail probably the one who could benefit from a drink most. She seemed like she had to take on a lot of responsibility, and it was sucky that she had to blame herself for Kay being taken away from them folks.
Yeah, that was sad that she blamed herself for that. T-Rex.
I'm probably having a drink with. It don't matter. Dave. Sure, let Dave. We can all have a drink. He was drinking the whole movie anyway, so.
He was. He really was.
So I know he knows all the good liquor. So.
Well, I'm actually gonna have a drink with Dave too, but we're just gonna be drinking, playing the piano and singing and stuff. Because when he was getting down on that, breathing in and breathing out and then breathing in, I was like, okay.
He was like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, I like that. He did, and the girl was like, what's happening? But I was with it. I was yeah, breathing in, breathing out.
What?
So I thoroughly enjoyed that portion.
Alrighty.
What's you binging this week?
Can I say who she? Oh, can I say? Oh yeah, she went first. I am watching The Last of Us, and still playing Hogwarts, and it is All-Star Weekend. Watch the dunk contest and 3-point shootout and all that good stuff. So, sports and some shows and all that good stuff.
It's coming back.
NBA All-Star Weekend.
I could have been in the NBA, y'all. No, I'm just kidding.
You did play basketball. I'm the only one not affiliated.
I did play basketball. And got to talk about it.
Okay, well, just give us what you're binging then.
Yeah, right. I'm watching Naruto because that is just where my heart lies right now. So that is what I am watching. However, I am so very excited that I got my tickets to go see Ant-Man tomorrow. So I will binge these before then.
I forgot. Yeah, I also watched Ant-Man. I almost forgot. I just watched it this morning, actually.
Get your tickets, guys.
Wow. I finished. I caught up on SVU, so done with that.
Caught up on SVU. There's no such thing.
I'm one of the few that's actually watched SVU, and I watched it in order from beginning to present.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a superhero.
You are.
You got a lot of time on your hands. Lord Jesus.
Well, I started this like 12 years ago. So, but yeah, like I just started over. I was like, man, I'm gonna see all these in order. And so I did. And yeah. And so now I watch it as like a new series. Like when the new season comes out, I'm like, yeah. So, so I'm caught up on that. It's 24 seasons, man. Woo. Mm-hmm. But I am also watching the National Treasure series. I think I'm on like episode.
How are you liking 7. That? Because I quit on that.
I can understand why you would quit. And like, did you watch the first and second episodes?
Yeah. I think I quit during the second episode. I was like,
yeah.
Ooh, that's funny. The series was even a thing. So
I'm trying hard to give it a chance because I just really like that franchise.
Yeah, the franchise is really good.
Yeah, but I pushed through because the first and second episodes were like, but it's I'm enjoying it. Okay. So we shall see. They're doing a whole indigenous kind of direction as well, like with the Mexican treasure hunts. So but it's good. It's worth watching. I'm gonna carry it to the end. I was really wanting a third movie instead of a series, but series seems to be the whole thing that people do now. So whatever. But yeah, so that's what I am binging now.
Grand Crew is coming back. Just so everybody knows.
Me and R were just saying, like, when is it coming back? He was like, because at first I didn't like it, but then I really started liking it. And why does it take so long to come back? And I was like, I don't know, because Abbott done came back twice. So
right.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. Thanks for letting us know, Terrell.
When does it come back?
March. It'll be back in March. I don't know what's taking so long. That's a weird time to come back, but they're coming back in March. I hope they're not trying to sabotage the show so they can cancel it. Because
they can't cancel it. It was so good. It's such a good show. It's
funny. I loved it.
Real drama,
I was worried. I was worried. So the first 2 episodes, I was just kind of, but it really grew on me, and I really love it. So
yeah.
But okay, I have to tell my honey bunny because he was just asking. So yeah.
And I just happened to see it on TikTok. They were on TikTok, and it was like, "Oh, it's coming back." I was like, "Okay, well, great." And it didn't even say when it was coming back. I had to look it up. So it was like, "Are y'all really trying to push the show or not?" It's real weird what they're doing with
it. Right?
Yeah, I'm excited about that though.
Yeah, me too. Well, yeah, that's I think that's it.
That's it. One real quick. Next week's recording will be The Nutty Professor. I'm sure everyone has seen that.
Yes, Nutty Professor. We'll be doing Nutty Professor. That is Terrell's pick. So
with Eddie Murphy and Jada Pinkett Smith. Yay!
Oh Lord. No, do not come with your Jada hate next week. Do not.
Lord, it's gonna be interesting.
Okay.
Oh, interesting things we can say about the Nutty Professor. So I'm excited about next week.
We're gonna stick to the film, and Terrell is going to keep his hate to himself.
What? I do not hate Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yes, you do.
Agree.
We could rerun a whole episodes where you're like, Jada, I hate that bitch.
Whoa.
Actually should be coming down to give you the one of that Chris Rock special.
You know? Oh no, please.
He actually,
yes, please. I need Will Smith to come and smack me one time.
Into the pursuit of happiness. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Smack me into the pursuit of happiness. Thank you.
That's right.
All right. Well, if all hearts and minds are clear, thanks everybody for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. For bonus content and to learn more about the show, you can head over to sipsandscripts.com and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Sips and Scripts Podcast. If you've got a suggestion for a film to discuss or want to add to the conversation or just say hello, DM us on social, leave a voicemail on Anchor, and we'll play it on the show. Thanks again, and see you guys next week for The Nutty Professor.
What a man, what a man, what a man. Mighty good man. What a man.
Oh, yeah, they were singing that song.
What a mighty, mighty good man.
Oh, right. All right.
I got to go off this. No.
Let's simmer down.
Australian dodo bird. All righty, cool. All right.